What is the carte de visite? The carte de visite, abbreviated CDV, was a type of small photograph which was patented in Paris, by photographer André Adolphe Eugène d'Astery, in 1854. The idea of visiting cards has been claimed by several photographers. As early as August 1851, Louis Dodero, a Marseille photographer, had put his portraits on his visiting cards. Dr. Hugh W. Diamond, one of the earliest enthusiasts for photography in Britain, regarded himself as responsible for the introduction of the carte-size photograph in 1852. With an equestrian group presented to Queen Victoria. Two Parisian amateurs, Edouard de Lizard and Comte de Guadeau, again put forward it a month before d'Astery's patent was taken out on 27 November, 1854.
Then visiting cards carried only the name of address, and sometimes the title of the person whom they represented. Why should not the name be replaced by a portrait?
D'Astery used a 4-lensed camera, which made 8 3.5 x 2.5-inch negatives on one full-sized glass plate. The large print made from that plate was cut up into small portraits, which were separately mounted on cards, measuring about 4 x 3 inches. Each photograph was the size of a visiting card. The carte de visite was usually made of an albumen print. It must have been difficult to strike and hold a natural pose, because the exposure time was anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple of minutes.
Wow!
These cards were inexpensive relative to other forms of portraiture, as 8 different poses could be made at one sitting and the images required no retouching. Then, the usual charge of 50 to 100 francs for a single 8-inch by 10-inch print was too high for the general public. D'Astery only charged 20 francs for 12 carte in one pose, or 30 francs for 25 carte for 2 poses. The carte de visite was slow to gain widespread use, until May 1859, when Napoleon III, at the head of the army he was leading against Austria, halted the troops outside d'Astery's studio while he had his portrait taken. For d'Astery and the carte de visite, this incident was the beginning of real success. He found himself famous overnight. The whole of Paris followed the emperor's example, and so great was the demand for carte that appointments had to be booked weeks in advance. D'Astery was appointed court photographer. By 1861, d'Astery became the richest photographer in the world, taking £48,000 a year in his Paris establishment alone. He opened branches in Toulon, Madrid, and London. His daily production was 2,400 carte, and a staff of 90 employees took care that every order could be delivered within 48 hours. The carte de visite spread quickly throughout Europe, and then to America, and the rest of the world. Cartomania was truly international. In England, the carte de visite portrait had been introduced in 1857 by A. Marion and Corporation, a French firm of photographic dealers and publishers. In August 1860, J. E. Mayall published his royal album consisting of 14 carte portraits of the royal family, which he had taken on 17 May and 1 July. Hundreds of thousands of these carte were quickly sold, for everyone was eager to possess lifelike representations of the universally loved Queen and her family. He had a turnover of 500,000 carte a year and the revenue of £12,000. All told, in England 300 to 400 million carte were sold annually. In Vienna, in 1857, Ludwig Angerer introduced the carte de visite, and sold enormous quantities of the imperial family. In Berlin, Rabending and Munkhoven sold to Prussian celebrities quickly. The same can be said of Sergei L. Luitzky in St. Petersburg and Georg Hansen in Copenhagen. The carte de visite photograph proved to be a very popular item during the American Civil War. soldiers, friends and family members would have a means of inexpensively obtaining photographs, and sending them to loved ones, in small envelopes. Photos of Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and other celebrities of the era became instant hits in the North. People were not only buying photographs of themselves, but also collecting photographs of celebrities. By 1867, the demand for card portraits was rapidly waning, and it became necessary to find new substitute. It was the cabinet portrait, larger and of better proportions than the carte. The cabinet format was a portrait 51/2 inch by 4 inch on a mount inch 6.5 by 4 1/4 inch. By 1868, the cabinet was universally adopted, though carte continued to be made. A typical parvenu, D'Astieri spent his money as quickly as he made it. The luxury of his apartment, his several country houses, and expensive stables, were the talk of Paris. But the good times did not last very long. By the end of 1866, the demand for carte visite portraits was on the wane, and though D'Astieri was quick to take up other novelties such as photographs on enamel, photographs on silk, natural photography without retouching, photo painting, etc., he dissipated his fortune and finally was forced to sell his business, with his name, and ended as a beach photographer at Nice, where he died in the poorhouse, deaf and half-blind. Although D'Astieri couldn't keep his money he had earned and lived a difficult later life, he has a permanent honor as an inventor of the carte visite, the most lucrative business in the history of photography. Of humble birth and little education, his verve and genius made a legend. Most of all, his inexpensive carte made ordinary people enjoy the pictures as gift and collection, that were only for the rich at that time.